And also with this particular process, and I'll say it again when I start the recording, just so you know, to get yourself orientated, you can either be sitting down, you can be lying down, whatever you feel most comfortable doing. And one of the things I would definitely suggest is you do it with your eyes closed, just so you can kind of block out all of the noise and any distractions that might be going on around you. So that would be handy, I would definitely say. Let's see. Right. And we're also going to start with a breathing process, just in terms of just kind of releasing and letting go, which is why I would say you want to make sure that you are sitting comfortably. Right, so I am now going to start the recording and we will begin. So hello and welcome. It's Marilyn Devonish here from transformationstm.com, and this is the Higher Self Therapy guided process. So what we're going to be doing with regards to this process is taking you through releasing something that you know it's time to let go of. And we'll talk a little bit more in terms of the things that you might actually want to choose to let go of. And I'm going to give you a suggestion about what might be best for that. Because if you choose to work on something which is still a big issue and it's still up for you, it's still prevalent, it's still live, because we're not doing like a one-to-one Skype session, this is a group process, I'm going to be suggesting you choose something that you know it's okay for you to let go and you know that you are ready to let go of. So just start having a think about that. But what I'm going to do now is just give you a run through of what we're going to be covering during this session, and also explain to you how you can submit your questions, how you can submit your feedback as well. So I'm going to be working with the higher self. For those of you, let's say, who came to my HUNA workshop, you've already been through the process where you're sending what we call the mana energy up to the higher self. For those of you who weren't in attendance, what I'm going to be doing with your permission is working higher self to higher self, which is the process that I use when I'm working with clients remotely, where I'm going to be asking my higher self to work with your higher self to help you to release whatever it is. So you will know which category you fit into. What I'm also going to be asking you to do is rate and benchmark the thing that you are working on releasing. And of course, this is going to be a recording as well. So you can go back and listen to this recording as many times as you like for different reasons. So it might be you're working on issue XYZ today, and in 6 weeks' time, you might be working on issue ABC. So you can use this recording again, but we're talking about for now in the present, whether you're here live or listening to this as a replay recording. Think about what it is you want to release. Start benchmarking it on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 equals it's not a problem at all, and actually, quite frankly, you wouldn't be choosing it anyway, but just to give you a sense of the benchmark, and 10 equals it's a major problem. So it might be something that is pervading your thoughts. It might be something that you're almost feeling physically. And rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. The reason why that is so important, and I found this out the hard way when I first started coaching, what would be 18 years ago at this point, is that people sometimes, after just even a 1-day, 8-hour breakthrough session, they will completely forget that they even had a problem, to the point where they will deny that it was an issue for them. And it's what I call the magical ripple effect, where the change and transformation happens so easily and so effortlessly and so seamlessly, people barely even notice the moment, and it becomes the norm. And that is what we're going for, of course. However, for the purposes, particularly for those of you who are from my e-newsletter list, who are beta testing and benchmarking alongside with me, it's going to be important just so you have a sense. And I was also important, it's a nice reminder of your journey. For example, I recently found my NLP trainers training folder from May 2001. And I was reading through some of the goals, and it said something like, having the confidence to present in front of a small group of people. And it also said something about being able to go out and run corporate workshops. Nowadays, I do that standing on my head with my eyes closed, but just reading those notes and seeing my own handwriting, where once that was a major issue. That was like, oh my God, if I could do that, it almost seemed too unbelievable to be true. So it's just a really nice reminder of how much things that seemed like a pipe dream have changed since then. So be thinking about all of that now. What we're going to be doing in terms of process, as well as using what I call the elementals, which is working with the elements, I'm also going to be using Huna symbols throughout and calling on my Huna guides to assist with the process for everyone taking part, whether you're here in person live right now or you're listening to a future recording. And the way I see it is like an energetic imprint, because I have had people who listen to my Huna and Access Consciousness recordings years after I recorded them. They have exactly the same experience as the people who were listening live. So that's the intention for this one as well. And for those who are maybe new to Huna and higher self work, remote healing, all of that sort of stuff, the thing I will say, and you know, those of you who attended my Huna workshop, you heard me share tons of stories and client case study examples about how one of the people I talked about was the lovely Lack Loy, who was out of contract for 9 months, and within days of doing the Huna was offered a job, and rushed to his feet ever since. I actually had exactly the same scenario with one of my clients who's in the membership group. She was unemployed for 9 months, and within a couple of days of doing the remote Huna, she was offered not 1 job but 2. So she then sends me a, oh my God, panic Facebook message going, I don't know which one to choose. And actually, funnily enough, we had the same scenario again for those of you who attended the free 1-day workshop that I ran for my membership group a couple of weeks ago. Somebody else, she shared with the whole group that she too had been out of work. In that case, she'd taken redundancy. And, you know, we'd done some tarot work, and I'd said, you're going to be offered a position in, they're going to want you to decide right now. And that's exactly what happened. But not 1, but 2 people offered her a job on the same day, pretty much simultaneously. So the energy of Huna works in very mysterious ways. And my very first experience of it wasn't accidental, because I offered to do it, but I just had no idea of the power of it. And it's still one of those defining moments and turning points for me with doing remote work. And that was where I had a friend who was feeling suicidal and had phoned up to say goodbye because she was going to be killing herself that night. And I was in the middle of writing a proposal. I remember distinctly, I'm like, oh man, I've got several hours of writing to do. I've been on the client site all day. That's when I was doing a lot of management consultancy and project management work. And so I said to her, look, can you hold off killing off for tonight? And is it okay if I do some Huna for you? So I carry on writing this proposal. I go upstairs with full intention of doing the Huna. I just fell asleep, and I woke up about 3 o'clock in the morning, sat up, bolt upright, thought, oh God, I didn't do the Huna. So I just sat in bed doing the and holding the intention of her. And then I went back to sleep, and I really didn't give it too much more thought, aside from, I hope she's okay. That morning I came down, there was an email from her saying, you know, really sorry about last night. I've had too much to drink. I haven't been sleeping for the last few weeks. You know, the breakup's been really hard, da, 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 da. And she says, but Marilyn, this is the point where you're going to tell me that I'm crazy. But she says, suddenly in the middle of the night, about 3 o'clock, and she described to me how she felt. And it is exactly the symbols I sent to her in Huna. Now, even if you've been to my workshop, you won't know what that symbol is, nor would somebody who, I'm in Watford, she lives in South London. So somebody in South London who's in a drunken stupor and feeling suicidal, they've got no idea what I'm doing. Well, they probably got no idea what the Huna symbols are anyway. And exactly what I sent her about being calm, peaceful, relaxed, all that sort of stuff, she felt it. And it was one of those hairs on the back of the neck stands up. This was probably around about, I don't know, 2004, 2005, something like that. But it was a big, you know, I guess, reminder of the power of this stuff and the fact that it can transcend space and time. And of course, nowadays I've got clients out in Australia who I'll do Hoondamly because they're on my mind. They will feel it even though they don't know what I'm doing. So even if you're listening to this as a recording, chill, relax, you will still get the benefits of what we are doing. So just to also, for those of you who are online with the teleseminar and the webinar, a couple of things you can do, depending on the way your screen is set up. For me, it's on the right hand side, but you've got a Q&A box, and the Q&A comes directly to me, so nobody else can see the Q&A. You've also got the chat room facility. Let's do that. You've also got the chat room facility. Put my name in just so you can see where that is, and it should come up when it says start chat. Allow guest participation. Yes. So just going to write a little message to you all. And so the chat is an open chat. It does, for some reason, it's got a little bit of a glitch in at the moment, so it hasn't been working properly last couple of times, but fingers crossed. But the chat is an open chat space, so everybody can see your comments. The Q&A comes directly to me. So if you've got any questions, if you've got any queries, if you've got any feedback that you want to share, that's how to do it. For those of you who are dialing in by phone, what you can do, if you wanted to raise your hand on your telephone, you can press *2, and then I will see that your hand is raised and I will be able to unmute you. But also be aware, if I unmute you, everybody that is on this live and everybody that listens to the recording thereafter will be able to hear you. So just to be aware of that. So let's see. So if you have any questions, if you have any queries at this point, drop them into the chat or drop them into the Q&A, and I'll come back and handle those. So now let me give you an overview of what we're going to be doing. And I'm also going to make a little timestamp note to self, just so I can actually say when I tell people about the recording, I can tell them where the process starts if they don't want any of the preamble, as it were. So what we're going to be doing is you're going to think of an issue that you want to release. We're going to start with doing some heart breathing just to get the body into alignment. And what we also want to do is what we kind of light up the neurology and clear the circuitry. What I am going to then be doing is I'm going to start with some Huna symbols to, how can we say, break up the energy and get the energy flowing and moving. I'm going to guide you through the higher self therapy process. And during that process, I'm also going to be asking the higher self to work with you to help clear the stuff that we're doing. I'm going to be invoking what you call the elementals and also using the Huna symbols. And actually, with regards to this one, I've got no idea what anyone is working on. So and again, I don't really need to. You guys will know if we work remotely, half the time you're not even saying anything and we're just clearing stuff. But if you did want to, say in the chat or say in the Q&A what you're working on. So for example, and we're also going to be getting in touch with how is the issue affecting you? So how does it make you feel? What is it doing to your thinking? How do you carry it? How does it represent itself in your physical body? And so if there's something in particular that you wanted to put into the mix, that might then determine some of the symbols that I use in order to help you clear that. However, not necessary, because we'll be doing a good old smorgasbord and mix of things. So I'm going to guide you through the higher self therapy process, and you just need to sit back and relax and be open. I'm also going to be asking that everything that we do in this process is for your greatest and highest good, and it moves at the rate and the pace that is right for you. Because I know sometimes people want thunderbolts and lightning, but if your neurology isn't yet in that place and isn't yet in that space, then don't try and force yourself into that space. So we're going to be working with conscious mind, unconscious mind, and higher self. And so just before we get started, and also as part of the process, with your permission again, I'm going to be giving some suggestions to your unconscious mind about the way that you're going to be working, such that you always come out of this process feeling better than you did when you went in. And we want that all to be done with ecology. And someone says, I'm having difficulty wording the thing I'm going to release. Does that matter? Absolutely not. What I would say about that is, how do you feel about it? Because it might be a feeling thing. It might be, what do you say to yourself about it? You know, people might be, oh man, this is just crap. So they haven't sort of fully articulated what it is, but they know how it feels. It may be that it's doing something to your thoughts. So sometimes people have thoughts in their mind that are just, you know, taking over everything. So however, and also it might be that the way you talk to yourself, like for example, before my days of personal development, my self-talk was something along the lines of, God, you're so stupid. And I say it with that energy as well, because it wasn't just the words, because some people go, oh God, I'm such a klutz. That's a whole different energy to, you're so stupid. There was like an anger and a tension and a frustration around it, but encompassed in those words was a myriad of things. But if I had to articulate it, it would have come out as, oh, you're so stupid. So as long as you know how does it show up for you? Is it a thought? Is it a feeling? Is it what you're saying to yourself? Is it about maybe even the way that you view and see the world? So for me, the world used to be a very unfriendly place where I was on the outside looking in. So I kind of felt like an outsider, and everything I did was through those lenses. And then when that changed, my whole world changed. So as long as you have a sense of how you know you have the problem, how do you know you have the issue, it's not so much about trying to articulate it and put it into words. So hopefully that makes sense. Somebody else says, working on employment contracts works, and the idea that I can't get any decent work because of my age, and letting go of lack of money generally. Cool. Okay. Oh, and I've just shared one with my Limitless Neuro Success group about the 87-year-old pole vaulter, which so made me smile today. I'm like, oh man, that is just so cool. And so with regards to that one, what I would say with regards to what you shared there is, this might come into, if we were kind of, and I hate, you know, trying to categorize things and put them into boxes, but it just makes it a cleaner way to articulate this. If we were kind of putting that into some sort of generalization, that would come under, let's say, the heading of limiting belief. So the limiting belief might be, I can't get decent work because of my age. And so that's the thing that you kind of go, okay, that's the thing there that is causing the issue and that is causing the problem. Cool. Well, I'm just going to have a sip of water, and my suggestion is, if you have not had any water in the last 10 to 15 minutes, I suggest that you join me now. I'm raising my crystal bottle to you, and I suggest you also have some water, because what you want to do, the water is going to help you remain hydrated and also help flush this stuff through the system and make it so much easier to work. And one of the things, particularly when I'm doing kinesiology, I've noticed when people are dehydrated, they've got reverse polarity. You don't feel reverse polarity, but it really messes with your ability to do therapeutic work. So I'm just going to stop for a moment and have some water. And this is also the point where I will say goodbye to those of you who were just watching the intro on Facebook Live, but the link is there if you wanted to transition over and join us for the actual sort of process of this, in terms of doing the guided higher self therapy process. So feel free to join us with regards to that. And we are going to start with some heart breathing. Now, if you already have your own breathing practice, fantastic, wonderful. Continue using that. If you don't have your own breathing practice, then I'm going to explain the heart breathing, and we'll do that. And it's just a really nice way for us to get into sync. And when we're doing the heart breathing, there's nothing you need to do except breathe at your own pace using the instructions I'm going to share with you. And if you wanted to, before we start, you can just set the intention that as you're kind of breathing in, you're kind of breathing in kind of new, fresh, clear, healing energy. As you're breathing out, you're releasing all disharmony, you're releasing all dis-ease, and hold the intention that everyone in our metaphorical circle, if you want to put it that way, is also receiving a wonderful clearing and a wonderful healing. And that is including everyone who's here now and everyone who will be joining us in the future. So start getting yourself comfortable, whether you're sitting, whether you're lying down. I'm just going to close off and if you wanted to join us, those guys who are on the Facebook Live, it's www.higherselftherapy.eventbrite.com. You can find the link in the description of the Facebook Live video. But I'm now going to transition over to the teleseminar and to the webinar, and we're going to continue the actual process there and get into the business of invoking the higher self, of calling in the Huna guides, also called the Avaiku. And let's get this party started and let's get the energy flowing. So wishing all of you on Facebook Live a fabulous morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where in the world you are based. And I will catch you all later. Bye-bye. So what you want to do now is